2025 has been a big year for me. I don't know about you, it's been a big year for me. So I wanted to share with you is it 8 or 7? 7 things, the 7 lessons that I learned in 2025 that have essentially changed my life. Okay, this is a lot of cerebral stuff. So if you're not like looking for that, then like go somewhere else. This isn't gonna be like fluffy. It's gonna be a little bit more like real, and like parts of it are gonna get a little heavy. So just a warning. Number 1, and I'm still learning this lesson, is that my appearance has absolutely nothing to do with my worth as a person. I told you we were gonna get real, like real fast, real fast. I've been doing a lot of therapy this year. And I started, I think in 2023. So it's been like a couple years of like a therapy journey, but I've been working with like specific people consistently for like a while now. And, you know, I've mentioned in the past that I have OCD. I started doing OCD therapy. That was like a huge thing for me. And then I ended up being referred to another therapist through my OCD therapist for specifically my relationship with food and, you know, other things that are connected. Obviously, everything's connected to OCD, but are not like specifically OCD, are not going to be like treated by ERP. It's been a hell of a journey, It's been a hell of a journey with everything that I've learned. And I think that one of the biggest things that I've struggled with is the concept that I just presented to you, that my physical appearance has nothing to do with my worth as a person. And I think that that's something that, very unfortunately, and especially for women, I do think that like men struggle with it as well. Like I just think that like everyone in today's world, depending on like where you are living in the world, whatever your environment may be, struggles with that. This concept of like your appearance being connected to potentially some sort of like moral failing, you know, whether you appear to other people as like overweight, or even, you know, if you're acne prone, like if you have breakouts, people will, or I mean, as someone who has had dark circles their entire life, and I have the child photos to prove it, I don't get them as much now, but like the number of comments that I would get from people on YouTube in 2020 when my channel was like blowing up, that like I need to stop doing drugs or whatever because I had dark circles, was really crazy, you know? So that's a really good example of like that one-to-one, like if this person looks this way, they must be doing something bad. You know what I mean? They must be like a bad person. And that is a really, really difficult thing, especially when you are a control freak and you have had experiences where people are misinterpreting you and gaslighting you, and you want to be able to control how people perceive you and make sure that people understand you. That is an incredibly difficult thing to let go of. So learning the lesson, and like I said, I'm still learning it. Like this is one that I'm really still struggling with, and I've made a lot of progress, I think. But it's I just want to remind people, if you are watching this video, that believe it or not, there's someone at my front door. Sometimes the delivery person, they just stand there and they need a signature. And I'm like, I'm not wearing a bra right now. And this shirt is not, okay, good. All right, he's gone. Yeah, one of the things that, I don't remember what I was saying. One of the things that prompted specifically this lesson, or me adding this lesson to the list, I was watching a YouTuber. I'm obviously not gonna like list them. I've been watching a couple YouTubers who have been so incredibly like hard on their appearance. So incredibly hard on their appearance. And like this is something that I relate to. I've done this my entire life, and I think a lot of you can probably relate to it. I think it's like, again, it's prevalent. One in particular, this YouTuber was sort of she seemed so, I said she, she seemed so defeated and tired and overwhelmed. Now that could be me projecting. Maybe she was just like me, didn't get enough sleep. But overall, her demeanor was very just like beaten down. She was answering questions that she clearly was receiving in comments, to the point where she was nitpicking the tiniest details of her appearance. And it was like the beginning of the video. Like that's where we started. This was a person who I've watched in the past. I hadn't seen them in a while, and I clicked on a video, and this was my first introduction back into her content. And it just made me so fucking sad. And I couldn't keep watching it because it was depressing to know that this person is feeling this overwhelm and feeling like she had to apologize for the way she looked. And when I say the tiniest, like insignificant detail, that's what I'm talking about. Like things that people, first of all, should not be commenting on. And second, we shouldn't even be thinking about. Like, shouldn't have to be thinking about changing those things. It is a little strange being a YouTuber and putting your face like on the internet, and, you know, and also like people who are very, very popular. You get the like crazy comments from like people who aren't in your community and just kind of like pop in, or like, I don't know, people who just like love to hate someone, like pick someone to hate and then they hate them. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. I have so many complicated feelings about this topic in general, because there are so many people who are sort of like put into this position of influence, and their own insecurities are showing through, and it can help to reinforce other people's insecurities. And that isn't necessarily their fault, because they are just a person who has insecurities, and they are talking about them because that's what their job is like being on the internet. And especially people who, you know, vlog, they're talking about their lives constantly, which is another one of the reasons that, and I've mentioned this before, when my channel started to blow up in 2020 and I was gaining so many subscribers so quickly, I started pulling back. I stopped posting on stories. I stopped posting as much on Instagram. I just stopped being as open, I guess. And I wasn't even that open to begin with. Like, I've been dating my boyfriend for 8 years. Wait, is it 8? I think it's gonna be 8? Oh shit, I don't even know anymore. We've been dating for a really long time. You guys have never seen him. Ever. One time I think I posted a photo in my members community thing for like specifically just for members on my YouTube channel, but like I blocked out his face. Like, you've never seen him. You don't know him. You don't know him at all. And you probably never will. The privacy thing is like really, really big. And that's a long tangent, just basically to say that like it's an odd position to be in when you are receiving comments from people about your appearance. And I constantly have this, like, throughout the years have had this back and forth with myself, like thinking about, you know, getting Botox because you see other people do it. And then you start to see like, you know, fine lines sort of settling in, and you just sort of think like, oh, I'm changing and this is bad. Like, it's bad for me to be changing, which isn't the case. And if you don't want to hear anything about weight, then skip this part or maybe bow out of the video. But that has been a huge thing for me my entire life, is like, I need to be a specific weight. I need to have like the perfect body, which obviously is never going to happen. Never. It's never going to happen, you know? Because even if I get to the perfect body, whatever my ideal is unattainable, right? It's completely unattainable. So much of my self-worth has always been sort of wrapped up in the way that I look and the insecurity around that and looking a specific way. And goddamn, is that exhausting. It is so exhausting. Like, holy shit, it's so exhausting. Yeah, it's really fucking exhausting. And I want to get kind of like, towards the end of the video, I want to talk a little bit more about like how I was able to achieve sort of like letting go of some of these things, some of these anxieties, some of these worries, some of these like obsessions. But I just wanted to start this video off basically by saying this is a huge one. And again, I'm still working on it. And I think that it's one that so many people can relate to. And if you do relate to it, keep watching, I guess. Fuck. The second lesson is that control is the absolute last thing that I need in my life. This has been such a huge revelation for me. If you're an all or nothing kind of person, like if you feel that in any way about your life, it's been referred to, I think, as perfectionism. And I have had people comment in the past that like, oh, you're a perfectionist. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm not a perfectionist at all. Like, I'll be super sloppy with things, but I just need to get them done. And it was brought to my attention when I started OCD therapy, what I resonated with the most was the term just right. Not perfection. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to be just right for me to be able to do something. And that really connects a lot with this sort of like all or nothing thinking, like I'm either doing all of it or I'm not doing any of it, which can be incredibly paralyzing. Or it like blasts you with anxiety because you need to be doing something constantly. If you relate to that at all, and this is one of the scariest things, and it has been one of the scariest things, if you are unfamiliar with if you're unfamiliar with OCD in general and like how it's treated, the therapy is called ERP. It's exposure response prevention. So basically like compulsions are things that, you know, you might have ruminating thoughts, fears, anxieties that are like deep down inside you. Maybe like they're at the top of your mind, you know exactly what they are. Maybe you don't. That's how I was. I had no fucking clue what these were connected to. But I developed compulsions to basically quiet the anxiety, to try and help me cope with the anxiety. So for example, for me, one of my biggest ones is cleanliness of dishes. This is the first one that I had no idea how connected OCD was to my entire life until I started doing therapy for it. But this was the most glaringly obvious one, which is what sent me into OCD therapy. Basically, lots of anxiety around the cleanliness of dishes. Can't trust anyone and their dishes. I gotta wash my dishes before I put them in the dishwasher, like with soap and water. I have 2 different sponges. I've talked about this a little bit, but as always, this video is not about OCD, but just so you can understand a little bit where I'm coming from. There is this very much like control. It is a control thing. Like I'm terrified of the unknown. I don't know. Is this dish clean? Like, I don't know. How was it cleaned? And so to be able to control that fear that I have deep down inside, which is connected to much deeper things. And again, anyone who has done OCD therapy, you figure this out. To be able to control it, I need to have control of my dishes. Okay? So that's why I'm cleaning them before they go in the dishwasher. Is my boyfriend washing my dishes? No. Is he allowed to put the dishes in the dishwasher? No. I have to do that because I need to know. So it's a control thing. The most terrifying in the entire world, the most terrifying thing in the entire world is when you are someone who feels you need to control, to let go of that control, to just relinquish control. It is the scariest thing in the entire world. But I have done a hell of a lot of OCD therapy, ERP, and what's fascinating is that it's the anticipation that is so much scarier than the actual like confronting it. So for example, like an exposure might be like one of them for me. Okay, now I have to explain this a little bit. So I have a dirty sponge and I have a clean sponge. I think I've mentioned this before. Basically, if I'm going to wash a dish by hand, like say I have a pan that's dirty, but I need to clean it because I need to use it, I will clean it first with soap and water with the dirty sponge, rinse it. Then I'll go in with the clean sponge with soap and water, wash it, rinse it. Then it's clean. If I wash it with the dirty sponge, it's not clean. I've just gotten like the like crusty bits off, but it's not clean. It's still dirty. That's what my mind does with this stuff. So an exposure might be with gloves off, so bare hands. I have to hold my dirty sponge in my hand and then assess, what am I feeling? How am I feeling in my body right now? Where is the anxiety? Does it feel like fluttery in my chest? Do I feel like sick to my stomach? Do I feel a little bit nauseous? Do I feel like panicky? Usually it results with me in essentially just like a complete breakdown. And eventually you get over it and you move past it and you start to develop the skill of understanding that this might be a difficult thing, but I can get through it. There is light at the tunnel. And the more and more you do that, the more the anxiety goes down, which is unfucking believable. So in basically every instance of my life these days, I try to keep that in the back of my mind, that there will be times when I want to control something, but nobody really has any fucking control. Like you can't know. You can never know for certain. And you can never have full control. And if you are constantly trying to control, then you're always going to be disappointed. You're always going to be on edge, and you're never going to be able to actually like relax and be present. So that has been a huge one. And when I tell you that my anxiety has come down so much from that, oh my God, I am able to be present when I'm social, when I go to a friend's for Thanksgiving and I don't have control over like cleaning the dishes. It's been life-changing. And if you're a control freak, it might be something to just like think about a little bit, you know? Like what are the things that I feel I need to control? Why? And how can I kind of like slowly, gently relinquish a little bit of that control? Okay, number 3 is that I can actually trust myself. This has been really fucking hard too. All of it's been hard. So this ties very much into the control thing. Basically, I think the main way that I've learned this a little bit is that I'm in therapy for a binge eating disorder, and I've been in a binge restrict cycle for way longer than I thought I was. Basically my entire life, and I think this is something that mostly women can relate to, especially those of you who like, oh no, you know what? Just fucking all women. I think like in general, we just have. It's just I don't even want to go into all of the things because it's not specifically about this, but it is a topic that I feel very strongly about. If you want me to do a specific video talking about my experience and what I've learned and everything, like in detail, let me know. It's a tough topic. So like, I would like to maybe save it for like a specific video that people can choose to watch or not. You know what I mean? And if you are sensitive to this kind of topic, then this video will have chapters and you should just skip the ones that you're not comfortable with. The main thing with a binge eating disorder is that you don't feel like you have any control around food, but you want control. So you lose control, you binge eat. You spiral into shame and disappointment in yourself, which causes the restriction, right? Which is then like, that was horrible. I'm bad. I need to be different. And it usually results in, you know, speaking of all or nothing, this like hard pivot towards, you know, restricting calories or restricting certain foods, which creates this like horrible feedback loop because it's so not only unattainable, it's impossible to sustain, and it just makes those foods that you're restricting so much more like, what's the word that I'm looking for? The forbidden fruit kind of thing, which results in you losing control, the control that you're trying to like hold on to, binging, restricting again, same thing over and over again. So I've done this in very different like forms all throughout my life. And I recently learned, and again, I'm still learning, that I actually can trust myself around food. And that trust, like finally learning that you can trust yourself magically, I mean, not magically, but like it feels like magic once you get there, that really just like melts away that whole binge and restrict cycle. And it's pretty crazy to think about not really trusting yourself, because it's not something that I thought about. It's not like this was something that was in the front of my mind, that I knew I couldn't trust myself around certain foods or just food in general. I kind of created these little narratives about food. So like, for example, I have videos where I've talked about like, you know, how I quit sugar, refined sugars. And it's so funny because when I first made that, I think I made a couple of videos about it, and I remember getting comments from people who were basically speaking negatively about like what I was saying. And I didn't think that what I was saying in that video was like so incredibly, I don't know, damaging to other people. It felt very, I watched it again recently, it felt similarly to what I was saying about the other YouTuber that I was watching who just like sounded defeated. It felt very defeated, my take on it at the time, which was that I couldn't trust myself around like refined foods, sugars, and things, and that I just couldn't have them. That's a huge form of restricting that I think we see a lot today in like the wellness space, with people basically like demonizing processed foods. And this was something that I did. Like, this was something that I saw. This is something that I learned. This is something that I practiced. I never felt good or calm or happy in that time. I've looked at myself. I've looked at old photos of myself when I was like my fittest. Like, I was so fit, and I like looked great in clothes, in my opinion. But I was not happy. I was not happy. I was so anxious, and I was constantly like picking apart my body. And, you know, it's funny, like I remember I went to, my boyfriend and I went on a trip for my birthday like a few years ago. And I remember how horribly I felt about myself. Horribly. And then I saw the photos that I took from that trip, and I was like, God damn, girl, you were banging. You were banging. But I hated myself. Like, I hated myself. So figuring that out, like, it's such an underlying thing that you need to figure out before you can get to any sort of positivity. Like, it's not going to matter. If you are constantly judging yourself, it's not going to matter how amazing you look, because you're not actually going to feel it. All of this stuff is connected, which is why there's going to be like those through lines. But like the other ones, I'm still learning this stuff. Like, I still feel I feel like I've been working on this stuff for a really long time, but I also feel it feels so brand new, because you're so used to specific patterns that you've had, or like habits throughout your life. And that's what they are. They're habits. And when you've been doing them for 34 years, it's like damn, like I need to, like, it's practice, you know, to like unlearn things, learn new things, and have them become a part of your life. So the only reason that I am making this video and talking about like these things that I've learned is that like I have learned them, and I have reached points where I have like achieved them, and I'm like, oh shit, it's possible. And I fall back. It feels like I'm falling back. But I know that I've gotten there for periods of time, and I know that they are habits that I need to form. And so it's just practice, and you have to just keep on practicing. Oh my God, and it's exhausting, which will take us into one of the other ones in a second. But first, I want to talk about how self-compassion and accountability can exist at the same time. They absolutely can. But if you're working on these things, you cannot work on them at the same time. And this was a huge lesson for me. You have to trust the process. So like, in my opinion, and I think probably most therapists' opinion, you have to work on self-compassion before you can go back and work on accountability. Because especially for someone who is a control freak, who has that all or nothing mentality, accountability is like you have such a different view of it when you are in that control mindset. To a person who has this control mindset, accountability looks like, I have a to-do list of 25 things. I need to do all of them today. And if I don't, I've failed. That's what it looks like. And if you're me, then once you've completed the to-do list, even on those days when you've been able to complete it completely, you're adding things. You're saying, well, I've still got time. I can't rest. I need to add more things to my to-do list, because that'll mean that I'm like achieving the apex of accountability, which obviously is going to like result in burnout, total burnout, which I've experienced so much throughout my life, because it's like exhausting. Like, you can't just keep adding things to your list. You are going to burn out. You need to rest. And rest, you shouldn't feel guilty for resting, because you actually need it. You actually need to rest. It's so funny. Like, I literally just feel like I'm talking to myself from the past, or from the future, to my past self from the future. I just realized I'm wearing one sock. This, I feel like, mostly one-to-one relates to my relationship with food, but learning this self-compassion, learning that like I can do something, I can overeat, and that doesn't mean that I'm bad. Like, that doesn't mean that I'm a terrible person. It doesn't mean that I failed. It means that like there's an emotional connection there. And I'm utilizing this coping mechanism for a reason that's been learned and habitualized throughout my life. But it also very much relates to my lack of feeling like I'm allowed to rest, for an example. And I sort of naturally achieved a healthy relationship with fitness. And I'm trying so hard to like replicate that with food, which is really difficult, but I'm sort of just trying to keep it as like an example. Like I know it's possible. So my all or nothing attitude about fitness for years was that I needed to weight train 5 days a week. Like I needed to be like working out every single day as much as I possibly could to maintain my body. And it was exhausting. And a few years ago, I remember like reaching maybe like a 2-month period where I was like, in my opinion, eating perfectly and working out perfectly. And I was like, this is it. I've achieved it. Like, this is perfection. But obviously, it didn't last. And it resulted in binge eating and like, I think a month of inactivity, like complete inactivity, just like an entire month of like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't work out anymore. Like, I'm going to explode. And eventually, after like years, like a few years of just sort of this like maybe like 2.5 years of this back and forth of like killing myself and working out and experiencing burnout and then inactivity, somehow a switch flipped in my mind. And I was just like, I'm just gonna like not kill myself. I'm gonna allow myself to rest. I'm gonna work out when I want to. And if I don't want to work out, I'm not going to. And somehow that happened. And ever since then, I have a very healthy relationship with fitness and I like enjoy it. I love working out. I have specific workouts that I like to do. Like I have at least 2 days of weight training a week that I really, really enjoy. And recently I became like so bored of them. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do like a full body workout. And like, maybe I do it once a week. Maybe I do it twice a week. And like, sometimes I do mobility stuff. I go for walks. Sometimes I jog. I hike. Like I have so much I've never had more variety in my life in terms of fitness. And it literally just came from like, I hit bottom. Like I hit bottom and I was just like, I can't, like I literally cannot keep doing this. And somehow it just sort of happened. Like I didn't think about it. It just happened. It wasn't something that I like planned. It just like, it became a healthy relationship. And so when it comes to accountability, if you're someone who is in therapy right now, and maybe you're like working very much on your self-compassion part of things, accountability is absolutely achievable, but you can't work on it at the same time. So you really do have to just sort of like relinquish, again, that control, work on the self-compassion. And once you have gotten there, then you can kind of start to like dip back into accountability because your mindset around it is going to be completely different. Like you're not going to be looking at it as this control thing again. And if you are, that means that you're not done with the self-compassion. A little trick for the self-compassion. I made a video about this a little while ago. I think it was, how I stopped hating myself. I made 2 videos about it. Part 1 and part 2, I think. If you're just like, this is a different language. Like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. If you want to start trying to practice self-compassion, if you feel like you're someone who is very hard on yourself, you have specific expectations or standards for yourself that feel impossible to meet, and if you don't meet them, then you feel badly about yourself, this is for you. What you need to start doing is when those feelings start popping up, when those thoughts start popping up, like, I have to do this workout today. Like, because I have this thing happening tomorrow, so I have to do this today, or else I'm not going to look the way that I want tomorrow. When those thoughts start popping up, notice them. So much fucking mindfulness, dude. It's like so crazy. Like mindfulness is everything. It really is. It's such a useful tool. Noticing when you're having those specific thoughts, like when they start to pop up, not judging them, but just going, oh, I'm doing that thing. Once you acknowledge it, it just sort of like melts away. It's like, oh yeah, I'm doing that thing. You've acknowledged it, that you're having the thought. And then it just kind of goes away. Don't feed the thought. Don't feed the thought. Don't fight the thought. Just acknowledge it. Just recognize that you are doing it. And you just have to practice that over and over again. Whenever you have any of those like negative self-thoughts sort of like popping up, or those like, I need to start journaling because I need to, like, it's almost the new year and I need to start being healthier and like healthier mind and body and all of that. And like, there's all these people on Instagram who are talking about like, you know, their wellness routine or their like 6 a.m. routine and their green juices and all that shit. So I need to start doing that to be that girl or whatever the fuck. Just notice that that's popping up. Recognize. You have to start by recognizing that you're even having those thoughts. Because if you don't recognize them, if you're not actively trying to like recognize that you're having them, you don't notice them and they just control you. And your whole mind is just like fogged up with all of these thoughts of like self-judgment and expectations and shame and anxiety and feeling worthless and feeling like you're not doing enough and all of this stuff. And it's fucking exhausting, bruh. It's fucking exhausting. Like, oh my God. I feel so much more rested nowadays. Like, I can't even tell you. Can't even tell you. The fifth lesson that I've learned this year is that you can never really actually take steps backwards. It might feel like you're going backwards, like you might feel like you're slipping up. But again, like I said earlier, you're trying to form new habits. You're trying to like reinforce these things after a lifetime, however old you are, after however many years you've been alive, of reinforcing these habits that have not served you well. Maybe they did at a time and that's why you have them, but they're not serving you anymore. They're causing you anxiety. They're causing you to feel overwhelmed, to feel exhaustion. And so they're gonna take time to undo. That's just the reality. So you're gonna feel like you're slipping up. Like you're not going to reach, you know, the perfect, using food as an example, the perfect healthy relationship with food. And then it's just like, oh, I did it once and now I'm just here. That's not how it works. Trust me from my experience. It is very much this. Sometimes it looks like this. It goes way down, okay? And then maybe like the increases are just like this, you know? It is very bumpy. It's so fucking bumpy. But every single time you are back in a lull, you're still moving forward because you are experiencing that with new information and new experiences. You reached a point that is where you want to be. And no, did you maintain it? No. But something that you need to understand is that it's not ever going to be just like a straight line. Like you're never going to get up here and just like stay up here. Ever in life. And if that's the expectation, perfection, then you really need to start practicing self-compassion. Like if you're like, no, I need to get here and then just stay here. It's not gonna happen. Practice self-compassion. Truly though. I find a lot of solace in that fact that like every single day I might feel stagnant, but I'm not, because every single day I have new experiences, new information, and it's impossible to go backwards. Not impossible, like those things can also be unlearned, but as long as I'm like still practicing these new habits and unlearning the old toxic shit and learning new things, then you're never really going backwards. Which takes me to, this is so annoying because I was literally just talking to my therapist about this last week. Progression is not the goal. This is really hard for me because this is tied very much into the control thing. I need to feel like I am always progressing. I am always moving forward. I'm always doing. I'm always achieving. I'm always ticking things off of the to-do list. And when I am in a place where I feel stagnant, it's very uncomfortable because I feel like, oh, I'm not doing the things. Now I'm just stuck here. And that's not the goal. Progression can't be the goal because to be able to form those habits, you have to sit in this new place, unmoved, continuing to practice. And sometimes when you have felt like you've been progressing a lot, like I felt like, I literally just said this to my therapist last week. So I was really frustrated that I am in this place that feels very like this right now. And I don't feel like I'm making strides at all. And for a really long time, I was making a lot of progress because there was a shit ton to progress on. It's a shit ton of shit to work on. So I had made a lot of progress. And then I'm in this place where I like, sometimes I feel like I'm slipping back a little bit. Sometimes there's like a little bump up, but I've kind of been like this, and it's very uncomfortable. And my therapist reminded me that like, you might feel frustrated that you're not progressing, but like that's part of it. Like that frustration is just, it's part of the journey essentially. And it sucks because it sounds so cliche to be like, life isn't about the destination, it's about the journey. But like it is. We are literally stuck in the journey and there isn't a destination. Like time is constantly moving forward. We're constantly getting older and life is just sort of like moving along. So you gotta just like feel comfortable in the moment, learn to feel comfortable in the moment, or else you're gonna have a bad time. You're gonna have a bad time. You're gonna have a bad time. And take it from me. I had a bad time for a lot of my life. I had a bad time. And I'm finally at a place where I'm starting to have a good time. I'm starting to have a much better time. The amount of social anxiety that I had for my entire life, my fucking entire life, like I actually enjoy being with people now. That's crazy. Like maybe you guys don't, like obviously because you don't know me, but like me enjoying being around people is fucking crazy. Okay? Like I can be present. I can have a good time. I'm not worried constantly about like how I'm coming off, what I'm saying, like what I'm gonna eat, what I'm gonna do. Like, can I drink this? Can I, like, whatever. And, like, it's insane. My social anxiety is like so diminished. I'm not gonna say it's gone because like in certain scenarios it's definitely not, but like so fucking diminished, it's insane. And that, bro, like I said, I've never felt so rested in my entire life. Like I remember years past, whenever I would like go to someone's place and they'd be like, oh my God, how are you? Like, I'd be like, I'm so fucking tired. Like, I'm so tired. And the reason I was so tired is because of all of that anxiety. Was just like all of these thoughts, my mind was just constantly going, and I was so overwhelmed and I was having panic attacks and anxiety attacks and just like I couldn't feel like I couldn't relax. And now I fucking can, and it's wild. What was this? Oh, progression isn't the goal. I guess it comes down to being present, which brings me to the final lesson is that there is literally nothing like being present in a moment. And if you're like, what the fuck does it mean? Like, what does that mean? Because like you might hear people talk about it, and if you don't have any experience actually feeling it, like I don't know, when people would say, like, talk about being present, you know, I've been interested in the wellness spaces for many years now. And you hear people talk about like, oh, be present, blah, 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 like whatever. And if you don't know what that is, it's just kind of like, well, I don't know how to do that because I have so much going on up here. And then when you try to do it and then you fail, it sort of creates that shame feedback loop. I think things like mindfulness are incredibly useful. Meditation on its own isn't gonna solve shit if you're like me and you've had this like, I don't know, any of the things that I've talked about. If you relate to any of those things, there's so many other things that you should be working on, that you need to work on. And sometimes you can only work on like one at a time, maybe a few at a time. And it's gonna take some time. And you have to kind of like accept that it's gonna be uncomfortable. A lot of it's gonna be uncomfortable. The number of emotions that I have felt in 2025, that I've been forced to feel, that I had been avoiding my entire life. Very overwhelming. Very overwhelming. Very overwhelming. I remember when I was a kid, I used to be very proud of the fact that I never cried. Like when I was younger, I was like, I've never cried. Like I haven't cried in like 3 years or some shit. Yeah, well, I did a lot of making up for that. I made up for that. I made up for it. Like, and maybe then some. So that is nothing to be proud of. And if you're proud of that, I'm just saying. Not calling anybody out, but I'm just saying. The way that you interpret any of these lessons, like any of the lessons that I've learned, if you just look at like the sentence, like if you just look at my appearance has nothing to do with my worth as a person, control is the last thing I need, I can trust myself, like all of those things, if you are just looking at that sentence, your mentality has everything to do with the way that you're going to interpret it. Everything to do with it. I also just want to encourage people, if you come across people, like I said, the YouTuber who I was watching who was nitpicking their appearance, something that's really not fucking helpful is commenting and pointing out what they're doing in a negative way. Especially if you're someone who's been through therapy and have like healed many of these things. I feel like I've seen a lot of comments from people on the internet who speak as if they've reached this like enlightenment, but they're not practicing it because they're commenting this shit, sort of like talking shit about the person who is clearly exhibiting some kind of insecurity online. And from my perspective now, I can see that like this person's going through something. I can relate to that because I was there. And I've worked through a lot of that stuff. But that doesn't make me better than this person. And it definitely doesn't mean that I should be like chastising them for saying this stuff out loud. Like I said, I have complicated feelings about it because it can reinforce insecurities for people who are watching, especially young people. But they're also a person. So like if you really want to reach out to this person because you've experienced something that's changed your life, maybe if you want to send a subtle hint, you could send them this video. Not that it was fucking subtle. Try to appeal to them the way that you would want to be spoken to when you were in that situation. Maybe those people aren't fucking healed. They clearly aren't if they're like commenting shit like that. But I see people like weaponizing enlightenment and just chastising people for like being a bad influence. And it's like, well, I mean, if you were someone who was insecure and you worked through that, can't you recognize it in someone else and see that like they need maybe like some kindness or at least a kind version of your comment, like, you know, to maybe bring some awareness to them. Because I experienced some of those things. Like I received, there have been times throughout my life here on YouTube where I've said something and then someone has commented something in like, not like the most, you know, sweet way possible, but just like not in a dick way and in like more of a curious kind of way and looking to like have a conversation and educate and get to know each other and connect. And that's what, like, when I've learned things about my, like, those have led to, those experiences, those comments, those little back and forths have, like, led me to changing my opinion about things, which has been, like, so interesting. And, like, isn't that, like, the best thing? To, like, both people be open and not be, like, so incredibly negative and have, like, preconceived notions about each other or whatever. Or, like, something that happens a lot on the internet is that it's really hard to like say everything, to remember to say everything or address everyone. And I do this myself, but I see a lot of YouTubers do this where we're like constantly trying to be like, I'm not saying that like I'm this thing, and then like, you know, qualifying in every single way because like we're just people and like it's, you know, I don't have a team, like I'm not writing, like I don't have people like doing research or like writing scripts for me or whatever. So like if I forget something, there's always going to be someone who points it out. And the way that you point it out, I think, is like really important. That little part, sorry, was such a like trail off rant, but it has so much to do with this stuff. And I just feel like, especially as someone who works on the internet and I put myself on the stupid camera and like people watch it for some reason, it's such a huge part of it. And I don't know, I guess with like I was gonna say the prevalence. I like prevalation, that's kind of fun. With the prevalence of like social media and people putting themselves out there, I just feel like that internet discourse is an important thing to bring up, or at least acknowledge. You know, if you are someone who is watching this and you feel like you've already achieved peak heal, just be careful the way you speak to someone on the internet, because you don't know what the fuck they're going through. Oh God. So yeah, basically those are the 7 lessons. Those are like the 7 main lessons that I've learned. I feel like they're all connected, and I could probably think of a few more if I took a little more time, but I feel like those are the biggest ones. And damn, bruh, they have been life-changing. And like I said, I'm still working on them, and I'm going to continue to work on them. And I have a feeling this kind of video will be a yearly situation, because it hasn't been a secret that work took a little bit more of a back seat for me this year. God, I'm so glad that I did it. Like, I'm so glad that I have been doing therapy weekly, and not just one type, but multiple. And I really invested in my mental health for the first time, and it has been unbelievable. Like, I just feel like a different person, which, like, obviously I'm not. I'm like the same fucking person, but I'm so much lighter. Like, I feel so much lighter, and I'm just like not so tired all the time, and I'm not so depressed, and I'm not having panic attacks or anxiety attacks. Like, I can't even tell you the last time I had one. It's been a while, which is really nice. So if you've been thinking about it, I highly recommend it. I'm always going to be a proponent for therapy. It sucks because, like, the relationship between you and your therapist is really important. So finding a good person, I got really lucky that my second OCD therapist happened to recommend another therapist. Like, she was fantastic, and then she recommended someone who was fantastic. So I got really, really lucky in that respect. My first therapist was like, fine, not that great. My first OCD therapist was like, fine, not that great. And then I've gone through, like, you know, a couple little things here and there with different people. But for the most part, like, the 2 people who made the biggest impact in my life have been incredible. And I would just say that, like, if you're someone who is, like, looking for like a therapist, whatever specialty it might be, I don't know why I'm holding this, and you haven't found, like, a good fit yet, just, like, you gotta keep trying. Like, you just have to, because, like, once you find a person who's a good fit, it's like, it's incredible. Like, it really is. But it's a relationship. I mean, it really is. It's like such a relationship. So you have to find that right person. Oh, I'm tired. Thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful in some way, or made you just sort of, like, I don't know, if you resonated with it at all, or if it made you stop and think, or maybe you are on, like, a similar path, similar journey. You're not alone. And I'm feeling I have, like, much more positive and energetic feelings about 2026 in terms of, like, the work that I'm going to be doing and, like, things that I'm going to be creating. And I'm feeling like I don't know, I'm just feeling, like, a little bit more excited about it. It's been, like, a slow thing where I've sort of, like, I've had hints of feeling that throughout this year, but now I'm, like, really getting to the point where I'm like, I'm just, like, excited about it, you know? So anyway, happy holidays. Happy New Year. I don't know when this video is going up, but I'm just assuming close to that. I guess I'll see you in the next one. Oh yeah, like and subscribe and shit. Oh, and I've been live streaming. I think I'm gonna live stream right after this. Okay, I'm gonna go. Okay, bye.